Hello and welcome to another edition of Charlesgate TV. Welcome, tuning in to our basically Q2 report here. Lots of data released on the Q2 market. And I'm Mike DeMello, obviously. This is
PT Viber. Last time I checked, yeah.
Still PT, huh?
Yeah.
We both took some trips out to the West Coast in the past week and got an interesting perspective on maybe some real estate in other parts of the country, although you were in Canada and I was in
I was absolutely shocked, but Vancouver is, British Columbia obviously, is one of the most...
Is that where it is?
It is, yeah.
There is a Vancouver, Washington, you know.
There is a Vancouver, Washington, yeah, right across the border. But yeah, Vancouver's actually astronomically expensive. A little bit of market research that I did out there. It's unbelievable. It's, you know, it rivals New York and San Francisco prices, frankly.
So it's a business trip.
It wasn't all business, no. It's nice city though. You know, got the ocean, got the mountains. It was a lovely trip. How was Los Angeles?
LA was cool. The beaches are great. LA itself I could do without, but the beaches, Santa Monica, you know, nice, very nice, very nice.
Things are really taking off at Charlesgate TV. We're being able to take vacations.
Apparently. Anyway, that's why we missed last week's episode. But now that we're back.
Oh, we had on Hollywood too.
We have.
How
did we go Hollywood?
Worth mentioning. Yeah, obviously we're getting such a following on YouTube that we were contacted by a casting director in LA about some reality TV show.
You didn't tell me about this, really?
I told you about this, yeah. Yeah, I did. She said, we both have the look, which is shocking to me. I can't believe that's not saying much for reality TV these days.
She must love your lowrider positions.
She likes that. She did say that I had a better personality.
Maybe.
So you might want to work on that.
You did call yourself Mr. Personality the last 3 weeks, so you're sort of self-proclaiming it, of course.
Well, you know, it sells. But she never called me back after we talked, so I guess maybe we're not...
She'll watch another episode.
Yeah. But you know, I thought that was kind of funny that is where she found our information was from the Charlesgate TV on YouTube. So
yeah.
Good stuff.
Too bad none of our clients are watching.
I know. I was about to say 4 views, and but I heard her 3 times. Anyways,
thanks for tuning in if you are here, and we'll hopefully provide you some good information on the real estate market besides some of our vacation plans. But anyway, just what do you think? What's going on? We saw some of the Q2 reports released for Greater Boston region, for the downtown Boston market, and also some of the rental data that's come out, all for Q2, and some interesting results, really.
Yeah, I mean, overall, real positive data for the housing market, I would say. In you know,
I don't know if I would totally agree with that, but you know, I don't know if I totally agree with that. Prices are up, as we've seen the past few months, and obviously that's Q2, and obviously into the beginning of the year as well. But sales are still down. Over last year, which again, a lot part of that is due to the tax credit last year.
I guess
sales.
I guess I'll amend my previous comment and say the way it was, I think, presented and spun by the media seemed positive.
Well, it depends on the article you look at.
The rents being as high as they've ever been, and you know, the downtown condo market up, you know, near its peak, and you know. But as we always like to do here, we like to drill into the data and really kind of talk about. You know, more than just, you know, what you might see in a snippet of, you know, a one-column article, and really kind of get down to the nitty-gritty. So, but overall, I think it was presented in a fashion where, you know, the lay person reading these articles would be like, wow, you know, housing looks like it's headed in the right direction. But
well, it really depends on the articles you looked at, I think, totally. I mean, because some of them were talking about the Massachusetts market, which sales in June were the lowest they've been in a while, actual number of sales, so more than a decade. So that's one thing, but prices were up a little bit. So prices, again, have been fairly stable and or up in most, in both Massachusetts, Greater Boston, downtown Boston, while sales have still been off of their peak, certainly quite a bit. I think what we're seeing is sort of a rocky bottom type of idea, some bouncing up and down for sales month to month. And so you're going to see some volatility that way, while prices have appeared to stabilize and in many cases even increasing depending on the area you're looking at, downtown Boston being one of those. And downtown Boston sales are a little bit off their peak as well, but prices are up, you know, 10% overall, which is interesting to see. Again, a lot of that's probably due to the fewer foreclosures being sold, counted into that, in some of the other neighborhoods. But even downtown prices are up substantially, and sales are up downtown as well, and the luxury market's up as well. You're seeing some more confidence, I think, with sales happening in like the Clarendon, 75 Clarendon, in the Clarendon and 45 Province.
Yeah.
and buildings like that, you're actually seeing some sales take place more so than they had in the past. You saw that big $13 million sale in the Mandarin take place in June. So things like that really are showing some more confidence in the downtown market for sure, and prices stabilizing overall even with fewer sales. So it's interesting to look at that way.
Yeah, I think, as you were saying, that, the Boston data, particularly on the condo side and on the rental side, is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Definitely from a pricing standpoint, I guess kind of that's a good way to segue when it, the rental market, as we've talked about in weeks past, is really pretty bullish right now, and it's vacancy, as they said, is its lowest it's been in 10 years.
Yeah, vacancy's lowest. It's in the Boston area. It's 4.4%, which is the lowest in 10 years. Rents are averaging $16.65 per month now, which is the highest it's ever been for the Boston area. And then when you drill down even deeper into that, you look at numbers like the Back Bay, which average rentals are around $2,600, and vacancy is about 1%.
Yeah.
So when you come, again, it always depends on what area you're looking at. We say that every time, but the rental market is as tight as it's ever been. It's just been not much inventory developed recently, and as fewer people are buying, as seen by the sales numbers, people continue to rent. Obviously, the student population, the graduate student especially, who are living off campus, is up substantially in most of the colleges. There's just not enough housing in Boston. Frankly, that's why rents are rising so fast, and vacancies there's basically none. So all those factors combined create an interesting dynamic in the market. So it will be interesting to see again. I think for the pricing on the sales end of things, we've sort of seen a bottoming development, and I think you'll see some more demand come into that market. We've seen that with the pending sales in the second quarter are up over the second quarter of 2010. So there's been a little bit more activity going on that's putting units under agreement this quarter compared to last quarter. And interesting enough, that's compared to months when the tax credit was in place last year.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and one thing I think that we didn't talk about before the show, because we talking strategize.
Extensive show prep that we do here.
Prep is huge. It's been a full week in the making here. But the discount rate's a good amount higher than it was than at least in 2009, 2010, where the discount rate citywide was hovering around 4.5%, 5%. It's now closer to 8% on the sales side.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in terms of the condo market. What discount rate means, what you can get off of the asking price. What you're referring to, I think, is the original asking price before price reductions. But that's an interesting dynamic as well to see that there is still some negotiating room in the market, even though there's not a ton of inventory, and there are obviously sort of. Again, it adds an interesting element to look at. It's tough to explain in some ways, but in other ways, it's like, well, there's still some lack of confidence in the economy. The job market's still soft. So a lot of those factors coming into play. I think it comes down to just being sort of a rocky bottom type of situation where there's some volatility from month to month, and you see some negotiating room in prices, but there's not this huge inventory to pick from, and there's not. There's not an overwhelming amount. I wouldn't call it an overwhelming buyer's market, I wouldn't call it a seller's market. It's almost sort of balanced, but it's along the bottom. So there's not real price pressure. There's not real.
Is it a rocky bottom?
It's a rocky bottom. I'll say that again. Rocky bottom.
Okay.
So, get it?
I got it. Yeah.
But it's interesting. So basically, I think what it comes down to is not just taking the big picture. Big picture is important, but also drilling down into what you're looking at, what market, whether it's rentals, whether it's sales, where you're looking to buy specifically. Again, neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street can vary because there's a lot of different dynamics. I said dynamics 15 times as well. Do you want to?
Did you? I honestly didn't pick up on that.
But
I'm tuning you out, maybe.
Probably. But I think it's important to really look at what specific is going on in the markets and in the smaller pockets of neighborhoods or places that you're looking at for your buying, selling, renting, whatever it may be. So that's interesting to look at, but that's sort of the big picture of the market. We'll put some of the stats that are more specific numbers down below or link to them down below the video so you can get a look at those. And that's kind of the update on the market. It's a strange and sort of somewhat positive, somewhat negative outlook going forward.
Yeah.
Rocky bottom. So, but with mortgage rates where they are, even with some of the stricter guidelines, it's sort of, geez, I mean, it's tough to sort of, if you're in a place to buy, if you have a good job, stable income, you're gonna set down roots in the place, it's tough to pass up the long-term rates that are, it's almost free money. I mean, I've seen rates 3.25% for a 5-year ARM, or even 4 for a 30
there's a
year.
10-year ARM at 4.1
Yeah.
for like a non-warrantable condo that
Yeah.
no one else will finance.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
unbelievable. So some of
there's
the
a
financing
lot of
options
stuff
are
going
unbelievable
on.
right now in terms
Yeah.
of rates. That is tough to pass up, especially as rents are rising year after year. It makes the decision to buy make a lot more sense in many cases.
Yeah.
And we think there's probably going to be some upward pressure on rents for a while, because it's not certainly not a ton of new product in a lot of the core neighborhoods.
No.
Some neighborhoods will have more development than others, but
it's going to take some time.
Takes
too.
some time to develop as well, a few years
The
at least.
pipeline is is bigger projects that
Yeah.
are going to take a while. That's one thing worth noting too on the rental article when it talked about the different neighborhoods that were leading the kind of price charge, so to speak. It's more indicative of the type of properties there. So for instance the West End, which a lot of people don't even know about. The West End's kind of a small little pocket of the city between Beacon Hill and the North End, and the bulk of the property in the West End is high-rise living, and a lot of newer, more luxurious high-rise like the Archstone building and the West End Place buildings. So the pricing data there obviously has that leading the pack as far as most expensive neighborhood, but it's really in large part due just to the type of buildings that are there, and the the fact that they're newer and kind of more luxurious, whereas I think someone was saying before, it was during show prep, there's no $1,200 studios in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Back Bay, which is still one of the most expensive neighborhoods, you do have smaller brownstone buildings that have studios that not $1,200.
An efficiency kitchen on Newbury Street,
About as big as our little Charlesgate
Not
TV
even-
studio.
not even as big.
Yeah, so
Barely squeeze a bed in there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's that's what you get for $9.95, and those are the prices that show up in the stats. And again, it's just an element of really digging down into what the numbers really mean, and let's sort of
those
beat
are-
a dead horse with that. But so what else? Anything else you want to talk about today?
No,
Any other thoughts you had?
It was just
Brilliant commentary, insights, anything?
brilliant. And I don't often roll in the same sentence, but we'll kind of
Pretend.
All right. Well, no. Actually, there was one interesting article too. I guess we were talking about rates a minute ago, and financing, and the FHA guidelines are tightening up, and there was a good article that we'll send a link to as well, Banker and Tradesman. But the FHA guidelines are tight, and FHA is many of you may know or not know is the kind of low down payment program for a lot of people looking to purchase. That's obviously very attractive. You could still buy with 3.5% down, and it's just increasingly difficult to do that on the condo front versus single family. And I think that especially with what we were talking about, how the kind of with the low payments from mortgage rates and the high rents tend to be pretty equal. A lot of people looking to buy. Some of those people are looking to take advantage of those low down payment programs, and it's just it's tough in the condo market with the FHA guidelines being what they are, and they've just implemented some new ones as well, which I don't think are going to have a huge effect imminently here. But a lot of these projects that are currently apartments, that as the condo market rebounds and they get converted to condos, there's going to be some interesting requirements there that they're going to make that a little bit cost prohibitive for developers to do that, and to maximize the buyer pool for these bigger projects. So definitely worth noting that financing all over very, very low rates, you still have to meet certain guidelines, and a lot of these different programs out there, you're still going to need at least 15% down, 20% down on the condo side versus.
It depends.
Of course,
the new projects, but it depends from project to project what you're going to need, and it's tough to predict even going in, depending on what you're looking at for a purchase. What type of down payment you'll need. I mean, obviously you can buy a place in a condo for 5% down with no problem in many cases, but some cases you can't. It just depends. It's going to vary from building to building.
Yeah.
And what you can get for rates. There's so many sort of variables in the market, not just with the sales stats as we talked. Looks like we just had a little bit of technical difficulties with the camera there. I blame you, PT. But besides that, interrupt.
Rocky bottom.
You interrupted what I was saying rudely.
Yeah. Well, I think you were expanding on the on my comments on the FHA financing, basically how it's just really building dependent. And,
Yeah, totally. Just like the sales stats are dependent on what buildings are selling at a given time, what's going on in the mortgage market, and everything's very specific building to building, again, or street to street in terms of the market. So it's as we said, it was a pretty interesting time to be in the market, I think, or as a professional in the market. And certainly for buyers and sellers, I think we can hopefully help them wade through the mess that's out there and make a good decision, whether you're renting, buying, selling, whatever. But anyway, I think that's sort of where we wanted to wrap it up anyway. So unless there's anything else that you have to add, PD, we figured we'd come back and give you another 30 seconds and a proper wrap up here. To hopefully you'll tune in next time. And in case you guys have any questions, feel free to email or contact PT or I. We're happy to answer questions, of course. And perhaps we'll throw them on the next episode of Charlesgate TV if we get some good questions. And do a little Q&A on the screen for you guys. So anyway, that's about it. Unless you have anything.
No, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks. No, good.
Good. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Charlesgate TV. And PT, do you want to leave them with one last phrase?
Just remember, market right now, it's a rocky bottom.
Thanks a lot. See ya.